Willie D. Live.
And what made you get up out of there in 2 years?
Out of where?
Out of Baltimore, because you
Oh,
taught, you got out of there in 2 years, right?
listen,
You was like, I done my time.
listen. I stopped teaching in 2 years. I actually stayed there because while I was teaching full time and taking a master's full time, I actually founded a nonprofit that basically gave wraparound services for Black families. And then I was recruited to work at a nonprofit based at Johns Hopkins Medical. So I did stay in Baltimore longer than that. But the reason I got out of teaching is because it was the most soul-destroying experience I'd ever had in my entire life. My good fortune is that I've always been a winner. That's all I know is winning. I don't know anything else. And when it all is on me, I'm a win. But when you're a teacher, your W comes from the kids performing. And I made them perform. And they did perform. But it almost killed me. You know,
Probably literally.
Yeah, it was making me physically
Yeah.
sick. A person who's been healthy their entire life is making me physically sick. And in my book, I write about
It
some
was
of the
these
stories.
hardships, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it was those hardships from the kids.
It was seeing what they were suffering and the fact that it seemed like nobody cared.
Yeah.
I mean, like nobody. Not their parents, not the school, not the government. You know, I would walk to school early, it would be snowing. Make the kids sit outside. I had to argue with them to let the kids sit outside. Like, you got kids sitting in snow. Like, it's like nobody cared. It's like so hard to deal with that. Like, I had people that cared about me. Even my mom on drugs still cared about me. We got kids where nobody cared. Like, that's not a hyperbole. I had one kid told me, because when I would come early to school, like I'm the reason they opened up the school early. I got there first. The security had to come early because I came that early, even though they were supposed to already be there that early. Like, there's this one kid that comes super early. And I'm like, bruh, why do you come so early to school? And this is a bad kid, right? Like, you don't want to be at school. Why do you come so early? He said, because I have to wake up and leave the house before my mom's girlfriend wakes up because she beats me. I said, why she beat you? He was like, just because. So I wake up before she wakes up and I leave so I don't get beat by her. And it's like you hear so many of those stories and you realize, like, bruh, no one cares about these Black children. Nobody. Not the people who had them, not the people at the schools, not the churches that they walk by, not the government that we pay taxes to. No one cares. And these kids, when they grow up with this amount of pain, they're going to hurt themselves and they're going to hurt other people. I know it. And I'm not a believer in like trauma, to be honest with you. Like I theoretically had a hard life, but I don't call that trauma. Like, I call that life. You hear me? Like, life is going to have challenges. That's not trauma, that's life. But what these kids were going through, that was trauma. What I went through, that was life. What these kids were going through, I was trauma. There's one little girl, and I write about this in my book. I'm not going to say her name. But remember, I taught sixth grade. These are like 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds. This girl was found in like one of the hallways dealing with multiple boys in a physical situation. And it's like, wow, that's so advanced. You're only 11, 12-year-old female. And I know, and this girl was a foster child. And I know that it's like something you're seeking that you cannot get. And this is the closest you can get to like human connection and value and feeling needed and wanted. And, you know, that kind of stuff tear you up because you see the little girl in your classroom and she seems like a good kid. And then you hear about this happening and you wish you could help, but you know you can't help. I just teach history. You hear me? Like I teach history and English. Like I can't help you with these deep issues you have. The fact that you have no one at home, you came to school on an empty stomach, you're probably being abused by God knows how many people, and it just tears your soul out. And you know that no matter how well you teach English or social studies, it's going to have no real impact on the things that are critical in their lives. Mm-hmm. I wish I'd have never done it, to be honest with you. Like, if I could undo, like, and not do that, I would not do that.